Hoka hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of October the 8th, 2021. Alita and Genos, Differences and Similarities, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek, and my co-host Angelus will be with us shortly, but we have with us Do Not Stand By. Both Do Not Stand By and I both are from Colorado. So how's it going, How's it going, Do Not Stand By?
Really good, Creek. I'm actually applying the skills that I learned from the Alita Army to a Twitter account and a Twitter movement that we're doing for my neighborhood. We're trying to stop gas lines from being installed in our neighborhood, and we had a protest on Wednesday. And I started a Twitter account, and hopefully I can put my Alita Army skills to good use for that cause.
So doing a little bit of community action stuff, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. We're trying to rally support to stop the developer from promoting this message that it's impossible to build neighborhoods like ours. And it's, on the contrary, very possible to build neighborhoods without gas lines.
Wow. Is this an eminent domain issue of sorts there, Do Not Stand By?
It's an issue of the previous developer got divorced last fall, and as part of his divorce proceedings, he was forced to sell the property. He was committed to building the neighborhood without gas lines, but the new developer, when they bought the property from the old developer, they put out a press release saying that they would build to the standards of the original neighborhood, but they went back on their word, and that's why we're fighting them right now.
Oh gosh. Well, I guess hopefully, what was it, like a corporate thing that they had going there or what? Because usually it doesn't matter who runs the corporation if it's the same corporation. Now, if he sold it, that's another story, I guess. But
no, unfortunately, it's a builder thing. The builder who built out our homes is a small Colorado builder, and the new developer didn't want to hire the old builder and instead picked a corporate builder that's one of the largest builders in the nation, and that builder doesn't want to build without gas lines.
Okay. Well, sounds like a mess to me. But anyway, yeah, good luck with that. Anyway, yeah, we don't have that problem down here. In case you folks don't realize, Do Not Stand By and I live about 25 miles apart. He lives more north of Denver, and I live more south. So, it's kind of, but we're almost neighbors. So sometimes things that are happening in one part of Denver are not happening in another part of Denver, because the Denver metro area is a pretty big area, and I'm so sure that folks in like Sydney and Brisbane and those places, like Max Stack Dry will be joining us, I think. But anyway, they'll probably appreciate that. So. Denver metro area is kind of like made up of many different cities, so it's kind of interesting. So anyway, enough geography lesson, rather. So anyway, I guess we're gonna talk a little bit about Alita and Genos here, and I don't know. Do Not Stand By. Do you know who Genos is, or?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Well, because I know Dizzy. I invited him. He basically said, "Who the F is Genos?" So anyway, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to. They're both pretty similar in a lot of ways. Sort of. They both have multiple media that they are portrayed in, and that kind of stuff. So it says, "Nice to see you again on the live stream there, Alejandro Camargo." Yeah, nice to see you too, Alejandro. It's yeah, you're in the chat, but we missed you anyway. So anyway, that's yeah, we'll do the best we can for our girl. That's for sure. We definitely want that sequel. So, so there it is. There's our purpose. And oh, by the way, if anyone wants to come on and talk a little bit about Alita, and whether you know who Genos is or not. I just put the chat, the link in the chat, and there it is. So you can jump on and start talking to us. and we'll talk about anything Alita related that you want to. You know, we'll interrupt our normal, you know, topic here and then just go right into whatever you want to talk about Alita. So long as it's Alita related, we're in good shape. And then sometimes we even divert from Alita, but the creek tries to bring them back every time. So okay. Well, without further ado, let's get into it. Alita and Genos are both manga and anime characters, and we know certainly who Alita is. And I had some folks ask me, well, what happened if these two would fight? Because Genos is a pretty powerful cyborg himself, and he does have a lot of similarities with Alita in many different ways. My thought is that if they did fight, you know, the only reason they would do it would be that they would not know each other, and then they would misinterpret, you know, the others, why they're there, or they might, you know, maybe, you know, kind of mistake them for an enemy or something like that. And there's a cute little cartoon there about Genos telling Alita, please fight with me, because Genos and Alita are pretty similar in the idea that they kind of want to fight. Now, Alita in the Last Order kind of gets away from that a little bit. You know, I mean, she's not afraid to fight, but I mean, she gets away from wanting to fight everybody. And Genos is always trying to improve himself in terms of fighting. And in that regard, he's a little bit like Goku, you know, where he always wants to fight someone stronger than him, and he wants to, you know, he wants to just keep improving and you know, get better and better at his craft and that sort of thing. And he has a lot of weaponry, you know, to help back him up. But what I think would happen if Alita and Genos actually met each other, this is what would turn out. Whether or not it'd be a romantic relationship or not would be another story. Not sure about that one. But, you know, they would at least be friends, I think. And as you can see on the cartoon on the right there, I'm not sure you can read that, so I'll read it to you. So anyway, he and Alita are sitting down, and Alita says, you know, they're having this conversation, and she says, so you're saying you can shoot concentrated heat blast? And he says, right, I aim to possess the most powerful destructive capabilities. And then she says, I envy you. It would have been made work much easier. And he said, I could ask Dr. Casino, that's kind of like his Doc Ito is Alita. I could ask Dr. Casino to make heat cannons that could be integrated in with your core. Then she says, nah, I don't think Doc Ito will allow it. So, but you see there, I think they would turn out to be very good friends if they were to, because they have so much in common. And Genos is kind of he's kind of an honorable guy. He's not in a very real way. He doesn't even have, you know, any kind of gray. I mean, he's just a really good guy, you know, all the time. You know, now he does get angry, of course, when he's fighting enemies and that kind of thing. And he can turn dark sometimes, because there was one case, I guess, in one of the episodes where these cyborgs actually killed Dr. Casino, and he goes berserk, and he destroys all of them. So kind of like Alita destroyed all those, you know, all those Centurions in the factory. He did the same thing to them. So he's a pretty powerful guy. So anyway, before we get into comparing them, I guess we need to just kind of review Alita, and then I'll bring everybody up to speed on who Genos is, and what kind of capabilities has. Let's see. I don't know if Angelus has arrived yet. Yes, there he is. Hello, Angelus. Sorry about that. I was in mid-sentence there, I guess, when you joined.
That's all right.
Yeah. Do you know who Genos is, Angelus?
Aside by reputation, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Who else? Well, like who he is or what he can do. So
yeah.
It's a completely new personality or property to me.
Yeah. Well, in case anybody doesn't know, I'll go ahead and say Angelus is, of course, the co-host, and he's from Brisbane, Australia, so Queensland, Australia. Yeah, that's the state you're in, I guess, right? And I'm going to just kind of go back a couple of slides. What's that?
Bloody
What,
oath.
Yeah, Aussie, 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 Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just telling everybody that if these two were to meet, I've had folks ask me, would they fight? And, I was just saying that they may fight if they were mistaking each other for enemies, but I think pretty quickly, they would turn into this. I think they'd be really good friends eventually, and you see, I think we've both seen these two art pieces of art here and tweets, on Twitter. So anyway, the one on the left, here's Alita and, Genos being lovebirds type things. And then here on the right, they're just good friends, and of course, Genos asked Alita if she would want him to ask his not mentor, but Doc Cassino, which is his, like Doc Ito is Alita, if to equip her, with some heat cannons like he has, and she says, nah, Doc Ito wouldn't allow it. So, and that's kind of where we were, Angelus, when you came on, I guess. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because you guys have seen this. You've seen a version of this slide over and over and over and over and over, But I do like to kind of remind everybody when we're comparing Alita to other, other characters, and if she's opposing someone. Now, this is not a how would they do in a fight against each other, because they wouldn't fight each other, I think, unless it was a mistake, But Alita, as we all know, she's a TR. She does have superhuman strength. She's very, very durable, including that very rapid self-healing, due to those nanobots that she has in her Berserker and her Imaginos body. She has both of those. Extremely fast reflexes in her Berserker body, less than 10 milliseconds. In her Imaginos body, we're talking about 10, maybe not 10, but in the order of a few picoseconds, because of her ability to move speeds near light. She's going to need very fast reflexes, and we've talked about that several times on streams. She has really great stamina, and of course her speed itself, like we've said before, I mean, she can move at speeds approaching light in her Imaginos bodies. Even in her Berserker body, she can run pretty fast. I mean, and as you guys have heard me say this over and over, that she can move at speeds that are, hello, Kunstler. Sorry about that, man. You were in the backstage there for a little while.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. But anyway, and Kunstler is near Chicago, Illinois. So welcome aboard. And she, in her Berserker body, I was able to calculate, as you guys all know, I was able to calculate she moved at an average speed of 125 miles per hour, 200 kilometers a second. Or I mean, an hour rather, a second. That'd be pretty fast. In the manga, which is what which certainly they based Alita on mostly, she can actually run at supersonic speeds in her Berserker body. So she's pretty fast for sure. And we've talked about that, how she would do against some pretty powerful opponents, getting the edge on them or getting the drop on them because she is so fast. She does have that plasma weapon, and she knows Panzerkunst. So I mean, that's Alita in a nutshell. You guys all know Alita. We all love Alita for sure, and we know what her capabilities are. Now, as far as Genos is concerned, now let me tell you who Genos is. Kunstler, I don't know if you know who Genos is or not. Do you?
Not really, no.
Yeah. Well, he's from the One Punch Man universe. As a matter of fact, he's Saitama. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's Saitama is the One Punch Man, and he is Saitama's roommate and protege. In other words, he calls Saitama Sensei, because that's his teacher, and he's striving to be as powerful as One Punch Man. And he is a TR, just like Alita. He definitely has superhuman strength, that's for sure. Probably equivalent to Alita's, but in the anime, haven't been able to determine just how strong he is, because they don't give me any basis for calculating it. And I haven't watched One Punch Man near as much as I've watched Alita, obviously. So I've probably watched a dozen episodes on Adult Swim, I think is where you can see it now. But very, very strong, really durable. But if he gets injured or he gets damaged severely or even damaged a little bit, he has to be repaired. He doesn't have a self-healing capability like Alita does. He has really fast reflexes, but I can't determine or couldn't determine just how fast they were, because they don't give enough frame of reference on that. But certainly being able to move at supersonic speed, as you can see down below there, he's got to have a reaction time probably in the milliseconds. So similar to Alita in her berserker body, more than likely. Certainly he can fly too. That's another thing. You know, very durable, lots of stamina, can just go and go and go. One of his inherent weapon is called a heat cannon, and it's probably plasma, although they don't actually come out and say that in the TV series. And I haven't read any of the manga or comic book. They don't call it manga. I haven't read any of the comic books, and I've seen some anime on TV, but they have kind of both on that one. He is a really great melee fighter. Now, I don't know what style he uses, but I would say he's probably as good a fighter as Alita is. I'm not sure he has the same kind of experience that she does, because she's former military. So she may have the edge on him there, but they're not going to fight. Like I say, they're going to be buds. So that's him in a nutshell. Okay. Anybody, any of you got questions about him?
Just a couple of things. One, reflexes is one ability that you can't discount, because as strong as you may be or as fast as you may be, I want to draw my conclusion from another anime called One Piece that I'm sure everyone's heard about. And in the One Piece world, they have, I guess, three main categories, if you will, of powers. One of which is, I forget what it's called, but basically they can turn their body into whatever their powers may be. So whether it be magma, whether it be light, smoke, or like any elements, electricity, wind, whatever. And so, if you try to hit them, you try to shoot them, they can just like turn their body into that material, and the bullet or punch would just like fly right through. In saying that, they have to, I guess, proactively activate that. And if they don't see something coming, then they're just going to get smacked down hard. One example is when the main character called Luffy and his brother called Ace, he's got the ability of fire, so he can turn his body into fire. Anything that tries to punch him or shoot him will pass right through, because it'll just, how can you punch fire sort of thing? But what happens is that Luffy is in a fight with another character. He gets he doesn't have that ability. He gets smacked around. He's got a different one. But anyway, he gets into a fight, he gets smacked around, and he gets thrown into a building where Ace is. And of course, Ace doesn't know that the fight's going on, or he doesn't care because he doesn't know who's fighting. And Luffy goes flying through the wall, hits Ace, collects him on the way, and then flies through the next couple of buildings. So you think, well, he's got this ability, how can he be hit? Because he didn't see it coming. Now,
what anime is this again, Angelus?
One Piece.
One Piece, okay.
So, like, if any of them had reflexes, comparable to Alita's, you would think that, the moment that he heard the wall of the building or the door just crumble and crash through. Like the moment he'd sort of like flick around to look at what's coming at him and then avoid it or activate that ability.
Okay.
That's a pretty good defense. And with supersonic speed coming full circle again, that is far superior ability overall. But if you don't see something coming, it doesn't matter how fast you are.
Yeah, that's
you're
right.
Still going to get hit. Like in theory, again, the Flash could get hit.
Yeah.
If he doesn't see it coming.
Well, I think with the Flash, though, and from what I read in the comic books years ago, and even a couple of comic books. Well, I've been saying I've only read 2 comic books. That's actually not true. I actually read 2 comic books, and I read the Watchmen, that graphic novel, so I guess that's a comic book. So, but anyway, but I've read very little. But I do know from what I know about the Flash, he was in one of the comic books I've read in the past 50 years. He is so fast that if you shot a bullet at him in the comic book, I'm not talking about the movie or the TV series, but in the comic book, you shoot a bullet at him in the picosecond that it touches his skin, he's so fast, his reflexes are he can get out of the way of it. So he's pretty tough, or he feels maybe the compression of the air in front of the bullet, he can get out of the way. He's that fast. So even if he was caught unawares, then he would still, because moving at that speed, a millisecond at that speed is like a lifetime to somebody that can move, at relativistic speeds. It'd be like slow motion to them, which is one of the issues I have with some of the writers that write for speedsters is they don't know how to write for them. It's like when Quicksilver got shot in the Age of Ultron. That kind of bothered me, not because I like Quicksilver and he got shot up and got killed, wasn't that? Because superheroes come and go type thing, but not being true to his character where he would be able to see or kind of sense bullets coming and dodge them, So, because a bullet, when you got someone that can run, like I think we timed or calculated the Flash would run at like, 50% the speed of light or something like that. A bullet that's shot at him it's gonna like, to him, it's gonna look like it's moving like, 1/10 of an inch per hour or something like that, So, hey, Diz, hoka hey.
What's going on?
I was hoping you'd tell me, man.
What's going on, Diz?
Gavo?
So anyway,
morning coffee.
Second one in.
Nice. Yeah, I had 3 today myself. There it is. Actually 4. I had 4 cups today. So anyway.
Not bad, mate. Got to pump those numbers up there. Rookie numbers, bruv.
That's right. 4 is rookie number. So anyway, it was funny. I was just telling him, Diz, how you sent me that DM and said who the F is Genos.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's from One Punch Man universe, and he's Saitama's or One Punch Man. He's his protege.
Is that like a TV show or an anime or something?
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, it's on Adult Swim, and it's a TV show anime type thing. So
yeah, right. Might have to have a bit of a watch, mate.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoy it. Certainly, Alita's number 1, but hey, we watch other stuff too. We don't just watch Alita. Alita certainly takes up a lion's share of our time, free time anyway. So
just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. That's right. Oh, by the way, before we get going too much further, Alejandro Camargo has suggested a topic, that we, the panel, talk about the design of the berserker body, and of course it be a nanotech. It is
delicious.
That is a great idea, Alejandro. We are definitely, I'm going to take that one on. Now, I think next week, I had said on the Radio Chaos stream that I was going to kind of do a, what would you correct in the franchise, looking forward to a sequel or something like that. Well, I was so busy this week that I didn't have a chance to really work, because that's something we have to put a lot of thought into, not that I don't put a lot of thought into these PowerPoint presentations, but that one's going to be a quite heavy lift, so next week I'm going to have more free time, and that's when we're going to do it, is next Friday or Saturday if you're in the future. So, but yeah, thanks, Alejandro. We are definitely going to do that. So
if you would know all about that.
Yeah, and so what I was telling everybody, Diz, and of course Jeff joined just before you did, not too long. But anyway, Genos is a cyborg. He's kind of like Alita in a lot of ways. He cannot, he's not as powerful as Alita is in her Imaginos bodies, but he's. I would say if they did fight and Alita was in her Berserker body, she'd be up against it with this guy. I mean, this guy's pretty badass, Now, if he gets injured or he gets torn apart or something like that, then he has to be repaired. He doesn't have that self-healing quality like Alita has. And I will tell you, there's one scene that it was in the anime or on the TV show where Genos is fighting this monster. See, and we're going to get to the whole setup. We're going to get to the whole universe in a little bit. But he was fighting this one monster that was named Sea King. And Sea King is he's like 10 meters tall. He's huge. He's big. He's really strong. He's even fast. And when he punches like a building, it just takes the whole building down. He's tremendously powerful. And Genos is fighting this creature. The creature, I think, attacked him in one way. It took off one of his arms, but it's still, he was still an effective fighting force. And he was fighting him dead even until this Sea King, which is kind of he's a being certainly from undersea, and he has the ability to spit acid, and he would spit acid at this little girl to try to distract Genos. And of course he jumps in front of the little girl and the acid hits him and just about dissolves him completely. And, the Sea King almost kills Genos until Saitama arrives. And of course Saitama can fix anything with one punch. So it was, it's pretty awesome, but, he can be severely injured, well, Alita can too, but the thing of it is, if she doesn't get a killing type shot on her, if she's in either body, her body's going to heal, so that's the difference in the two of them, where he has to rely on this guy named Dr. Casino to repair him. So
there's only 2 seasons of this, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. The other 2 points I wanted to make.
Okay.
Is that even though they might not fight, I reckon they'd still spar just to test out different modifications that their respective doctors would make, if you will.
Oh, this is in One Piece, is it?
No, this is like Alita and Genos.
Okay.
For example, once Alita got the Danko gun, for example,
yeah,
she might want to test that out or train using it, and she'd spar Genos.
Yeah.
Genos could get an upgrade from his doctor, and it's like, well, the best person to really put it through its paces, and see what it's capable of is Alita. So spar.
I think they would spar. As friends, I don't think they would fight each other to the death. I think they would spar. Because both of them love to fight. So they would. It'd be part of their friendship or their relationship is, hey, let's fight today, or something like that.
Like, for example, me and Dizzy, we both go to a bar and just take shots, and I'd wait until he just bangs under the table. Then I'd just take a couple more shots.
Well, you Aussies have a way of dealing with each other that I can't wait to see when I come over there, or come down there. Excuse me, down under. So, what I want to do here, is I want to play, and I'm gonna I'll have the audio off, because if we don't, we'll get yeeted, But there's kind of a sparring match. Even though Genos is trying to, he wants to use full power, and he's sparring or fighting Saitama, and Saitama is a really powerful being in this universe. As a matter of fact, if you go on YouTube, you can see where they put him up against various superheroes like Superman and Thanos and stuff like that, you know, and he does pretty well, you know, in those, because one of the things about Saitama is he cannot be beaten, and he's immortal. He's invulnerable. I mean, you know, it's just ridiculous how powerful this guy is, you know. So anyway, I'm going to play this. Let me stop share on this one, and I want to share the. Let's see where it is. There it is, right there. So hopefully you guys can see that. Can you see? Can everybody see that? So I'm gonna full screen this bad boy. So we're gonna play this. Now this is, you're gonna see one video on top of the other. One is a live action, kind of a fan, you know, kind of a fan movie or mini movie that's really done well. I mean, it's super, you know. And then the other one's from the anime. So, you know, here they are. They're about to. This is the area where they're going to fight. And then this guy walking here. This is Saitama. You know, he's in that orange, funny orange outfit, which is part of the, you know, comedic effect of this, because One Punch Man's actually a parody on superheroes. And the guy on the right up top there, that's Genos. There's Genos right there. So, you know, they're getting ready to spar, and Genos tells him, you know, hey, don't hold back. I want to see the full extent of your power, and let's fight, you know. So now Genos realizes he can't kill Saitama because Saitama's invulnerable. So now what you see on the bottom of the screen there is actually on the anime and the TV series. But you can see here's doing an axe kick just like Alita did on Grishka. And of course, Saitama can fly. So, and see, he's shooting one of his heat cannons. You see how powerful that thing was. So anyway, you know, Saitama got out of the way, or One Punch Man got out of the way, because he didn't want his clothes to get burned up. So there they're just flying around, kind of sparring with each other. And, you know, Genos loses sight of him. He doesn't know where he is. So he uses his one of his capabilities to find him. And Saitama's not running away. He's just running to a different location to take him on. So there he is. He comes out.
The way he was running in the top part was,
yeah, it's hilarious.
Busting to take a dump or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this is hilarious. This whole thing is a parody. So, you know, so he was shooting at him right there, and he says, okay, I win. He's finally, Genos says, I wish you would take this seriously, because he's just toying with him, you know. He says, I want you to use your full power. You know, have you forgotten the rules of the fight? You know, I mean, we're supposed to be fighting all out, you know. And probably Genos knows that Saitama's not going to try to kill him, you know. So don't hold back, he says. So here they're about to, you know, get after each other, and how it ends is kind of neat too, you know. And this is why they call him One Punch Man, because everything he punches, one thing is done, you know. It taps him on the forehead and says, I win. He's all, what the hell?
What's going on here?
Yeah. And then he finally says, let's go eat lunch, you know, and he turns around at the end. He said, can you even eat ramen? Saitama says that to Genos. Can you even eat ramen? Ramen noodles, you know.
Yeah.
The way he walks too, you know, that's another funny thing, you know.
Well, I got that. I just found that on the iTunes store, so I might get the first couple of episodes and see how she goes, mate.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. I like that. I think one of the first episodes. I'm not sure it's the first episode. It might be, but that's where Genos fights this this bad guy called the Sea King, you know. And Genos, you know, you saw how powerful he was in the anime and in that you know, live action flick. Oh wow, we lost Angelus. So he must be going after pineapple pizza, I guess. So anyway, oh, there he is. Okay, he's back. But anyway, Genos, you know, as powerful as he is, the Sea King was about to kill him. And Saitama kind of gets between him and Genos, and the Sea King punches Saitama with all his strength. And like I was telling everybody else, the Sea King is like a 10 meter tall monster. And he punches him, and it does absolutely nothing to Saitama. He just, you know, he was kind of had his back to him, and he was kind of helping Genos, you know, and he had stood up, and the Sea King punched him, and it didn't do anything to him, you know, and he just turns around, and the Sea King says, well, you're not like the others, you know, talking about these other superheroes. You're not like them. You've taken one of my most powerful punches. And Saitama says, no, your punch is not so powerful. It's because you're weak. And then the Sea King tries to hit him, and then Saitama is certainly much faster. And one punch, he turns him into liquid. It was just like that bad, you know, just that fast, you know. And then at the end of that, he looks up and he says, oh, I think it's going to rain today. Something like that. He said, I'm hungry. I want to go get something to eat. And he always does that. He'll be in the middle of a fight, you know, and he'll take somebody out, and he goes, oh, I want some ramen noodles. He just walks off, kind of like he did in that little portrayal there.
Sounds like he needs to BYO something to every fight he has, so he doesn't have to piss off.
Maybe not, maybe so, you know. But as I was telling everybody about, now this is not about Saitama, this is about Genos, you know, because he's more like Alita. But Saitama is invulnerable, and he, you know, he can fly, and he fought this one character named Lord Boros, who's kind of like Thanos and Darkseid. And Lord Boros hit Saitama so hard it knocked him to the moon. You know, and Saitama's on the moon, and he just kind of looks down at Earth and goes, huh. And
time for some ramen.
Yeah. He propelled himself back to Earth, you know, and proceeded to kick Lord Boros's butt. So it was sort of funny, you know, to see that. But anyway, this is about Genos. Genos is his protege, or his apprentice, and he's you know, he's a very powerful character. We'll get into the similarities and between him and Alita here in a little bit. But first of all, we need to go into what the universe that that Genos is in. And you see him on the left there. He's
so
in
you
this.
Say, Sea King would be the equivalent of the fight Alita has with K. Rool.
Well, except Saitama can't be beat. So I mean, he does beat Lord Boros, you know. I mean, he just pounds him, you know, and that's you know, once he gets back from the moon, that is, you know. So yeah, you know, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, it's kind of like that, I guess.
Just in the Genos versus Sea King aspect, because if Sea King almost.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about Lord Boros and Saitama. Yeah, Sea King would have killed Genos had Saitama not shown up. But, you know, whereas Karula, you know, she voluntarily decided not to kill Alita because she realized that she was going to get the Fata Morgana and all that stuff, you know, and become, I don't know, in the Matrix terms, the one, you know. So anyway, that's why she didn't do it. But the only reason Sea King didn't kill Genos is because Saitama showed up, you know. And it was funny seeing Saitama standing up next to Sea King. Sea King's like 10 meters tall, and Saitama's about 6 feet. So, so it was really funny, you know, or 2 meters tall, you know. So he's like, you know, 5 times taller, but it was no match. It wasn't even close to a match. So. Anyway, but here's a little bit about Saitama. I mean, about not Saitama, but about the Hero Association. Now, this is the organization that Genos and Saitama and a whole bunch of other superheroes are in. They're kind of like the Justice League in a way, you know, or the Avengers, you know, and there's some really powerful beings in there, and they got like 3 classes of heroes. Now I got the word superhero there, but not all these people are superheroes. Some of them are just plain what they call heroes. Now class S is a superhero, but you get down to class A, B, and C, and as you go down those classes, they're less and less powerful. And I'll point you to a character who's a class C hero, you know. We'll talk about him just very briefly. And the locale that that Genos is in, they don't really talk about what country or anything like that. They have several cities, but they name them, they just call them City A, City B, City C, and so forth. Excuse me. The Hero Association is actually managed by a government agency. It's kind of like, I guess, Ghost in the Shell. You know, that association was managed by the government agency of Japan, you know. It's kind of like that. And they have the government agency, of course, has regulations and all that stuff, and they have rules and requirements of how heroes can become, can go up in any one of those classes of heroes up to superhero. Now, the hero associations, and it's really kind of funny when you get to watching it, but the Hero Association, their chief nemesis is another association called the Monster Association, and they are monsters. That's basically it. You know, this. Now, I don't think the Sea King was in the Monster Association. I think he was a kind of a individual kind of bad guy, you know. So, but he, you know, basically, you know, he was kind of he had his own association. Obviously, he was kind of, you know, he was the leader of all the critters in the sea, you know. So, and he was wanting to take over Earth and all that stuff. And of course, Saitama punched him into oblivion. But that's their chief nemesis. They don't live in a dystopian world. It's a very advanced, you know, kind of society, or at least, you know, comparable to what we have today, you know, here on Earth. You know, in some cases we're more advanced than others, I guess. But, you know, it's kind of like that. It's a modern society. It's not futuristic or anything like that. And then, of course, we're going to get to who all these folks are, or many of them, not all of them. There's way too many superheroes or heroes to actually, you know, go into all of these, and there's even more than this. There's a lot more than just these guys there. So it's no way we can cover every single, you know, member of the Hero Association. So anyway, that's kind of where. Oh, by the way, Saitama is also in the Hero Association. But unlike what you would think he would be, he is the most powerful being in that universe. I mean, you know, nothing can kill him. He's invulnerable. He flies. He's in that universe, he is more powerful than Superman, you know. But it's funny, he tries out. He's not in the superhero. He's not in the Hero Association to begin with. He's just what he calls himself, a hero for fun, you know, is what he says. And in the very beginning, what's funny about him is that, you know, he's not always been like he is. They're bald, you know, and has a superhero outfit and all that stuff on. He was a regular guy that got bullied or something like that. And he started training in that regard, much like Goku. And he got to the point where he was, and which is really funny, is doing 100 push-ups a day, running 10 miles a day, and eating bananas. That's how he got where he is, you know, which is kind of funny, you know, when you think about people like me that weightlift, we eat tons of protein, stuff like that. Well, he eats bananas, you know, so it's really funny. But when he comes in, he's at the bottom of the rung. He's in class C, way down at the bottom, you know. But he works his way up and he becomes a class B. I think he was the highest ranking class B superhero or hero, even though he's more powerful than any of those heroes or superheroes you see there, you know. So anyway, that's kind of Genos's universe. I mean, it's, you know, it's certainly Earth. you know, and it's just the buildings look like Earth buildings and stuff like that, except these guys are all fighting monsters, you know. So now we don't need to go into this too much because we kind of know, you know, who these folks are. These are all the people in Alita's life, you know, as certainly the key people in her life, you know, in the movie. There's others in the manga, obviously, like Ed, you know, he's in there, and there's others, you know. So anyway, I just limited this to the movie, and we all recognize these folks, you know, as no need to kind of go into much of a discussion here on this one. Now, the big difference, I guess, between the two universes is that, you know, Genos is fighting against the Monster Association. I mean, it's an organization. And yes, the monsters are organized. they have like a headquarters, everything like that, all these monsters, you know. Whereas Alita, her chief antagonist is Nova. Now, certainly he's on Zalem, and, you know, kind of Zalem. I think Zalem is just ancillary to that. Nova's up there, and that's her enemy, you know, so she's got that. Whereas Genos is fighting again with other superheroes against the Monster Association. So that's a little bit of a difference there, you know. And certainly Vector was a enemy also, albeit that he was being possessed by Nova a lot of times. So, or at least, I guess Nova was using telepresence on him as he was Gruishka. So anyway, that we know this. We don't need to go into this. Now, here are the people, or some of the key people that are in Genos's life. And of course, there's Saitama up in the left-hand corner. He's you know, the most powerful being in that universe by far. No one comes close to this guy. I mean, even his toughest fight with this Lord Boros person or alien was not, I mean, even though he punched him to the moon and, you know, he hit him and all that, just, he didn't hurt him. You know, he just, you know, he knocked him to the moon, but it had no effect on him except that he was on the moon. Now he had to fly back to Earth, you know. So he's the most powerful one, but he's a class B superhero, despite the fact he is the most powerful being in the universe. Now, that guy you see there with the kind of the funny looking hat on there, that's Dr. Casino. And he is Genos. He's kind of like to Genos what Doc Ito is to Alita. And what he does is he will upgrade Genos because Genos wants to become more and more powerful, you know, and Casino keeps upgrading him. And Genos's aim is to be as powerful as Saitama. And of course, it's a level he can't attain, you know, in terms of power.
I think that might be his hairstyle.
Say what now?
I think that might be his hairstyle.
What do you mean now?
Casino.
Okay, go ahead.
It does look like the more traditional straw hats that they wear back in the day.
Yeah.
But looking at, like, for example, the design on the outer layer, if you will, plus the fact you can't see the rest of his head underneath the hat, it leads me to believe that it's probably more like a really funky sort of hairstyle. Like an afro of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so, you know. Yeah, I guess that's right. The thing about him is that, well, he's, like I say, he is to Genos like Doc Ito is to Alita, but the difference is he's not just a cyber doctor, you know, like Doc Ito is. This guy's a scientist. You know, he's not an evil genius or anything like that, but he is a genius, and he does a lot of different stuff. And one of them is developing these weapons for Genos, you know, and he keeps making better and better weapons. Now, one of the things he does do, which is kind of like Doc Ito did with Alita before he put her in the Berserker body, was he tries to ascertain, you know, kind of like what's Genos's maturity level or something, you know, and he'll give him a more powerful weapon when he thinks he's ready for it. You know, he doesn't just arbitrarily give him a weapon, you know. So he does factor a little bit of morality into this whole thing, you know. And certainly Doc Ito did too, but Doc Ito, he nearly loses Alita before he caves in and gives her the berserker body, where this guy doesn't do that. He's upgrading him, and he does repair him too when he gets bashed up like he did against the Sea King. He's not a superhero at all, and he may do some work for the Hero Association, but I'm not sure about that. I haven't finished watching the second season yet, so so I don't know how that turns out. That the guy next to him is a guy called Fang, and he's kind of an older guy. He's a Class S superhero, and he is the best martial artist on the planet. Now, he does have an older brother that may be as good as him. So, but he's a very superb fighter, but he is a human. He's not a meta-human or a mutant or anything like that. But he is the best martial artist on the planet. He knows a lot of techniques. He's powerful. This guy's like he has Creaky's heart in some ways because he's in his 70s. So, that's where he is. But, there's some scenes of him with his shirt off, and he's got abs, and he's got powerful looking arms. And they're not huge like say a power lifter or a bodybuilder, but they're big, and he's I think like he's like fifth in Class S or something like that, because of his martial arts skills. Extremely good fighter. Now, that girl that you see there next to him, that one with the green hair, Tatsumaki, her nickname is Terrible Tornado, and she's like the #2 ranked Class S superhero, and she's like a witch, and she can dispatch pretty much any, a lot of monsters that oppose her. She's kind of got a little bit of a toot a lot of time, an attitude about her, but Class 2 superhero has a lot of different kind of capabilities, one of them of which is telekinesis, but I'm not sure, whether she may be able to cast spells, but I'm not sure about that. You see her in a lot of the episodes, but she's not a major character like, say, Saitama or Genos, and she is in several. Oh, we lost Dizzy. Whoa. But anyway, very powerful being, number 2 rank, and the #1 rank guy is a guy named I can't remember his name now, but he's a cyborg himself, and he has a lot of different abilities, and I can't remember his name, and a lot of different abilities and a lot of different weapons and stuff like that. And he's in very few episodes. The guy down in the lower left-hand corner, Metal Bat, he is a Class B superhero, and he's kind of like, in some ways, in terms of fighting skill, he's kind of like Harley Quinn is with her bat. He's very skilled with that, but he's a human. He's strong, but he's not superhuman. He doesn't have superhuman strength, but he'd be formidable for most humans. I mean, it wouldn't be like he would be a pushover just because he's not a superhuman. He'd be very, very tough. The girl next to him there, Fubuki, she's a Class A superhero, and she has a telekinetic power, but I think that's pretty much her own power. Plus, she does have some Class B superheroes that kind of form a clique with her, and they work with her and stuff like that. But yeah, she's a Class A. I think she may be 2nd or 3rd rank in Class A, and which is just below superhero class. The guy there with the green hat on, his name is Moomin Rider. Now, he's a Class C hero, and there's nothing really remarkable about the guy. I mean, he's a fairly good fighter. He's got courage beyond whatever. He actually was one of the guys that was fighting the Sea King, and when the Sea King was about to kill Genos, he also happened on the scene. Now, he's a Class C. He's really just a human who has really good intent. you know, and he goes around looking for ways to help people, and he's really striving to improve himself to become Class B and all that kind of stuff. And for a while before Saitama, you know, moved up, you know, in ranks and briefly took over the #1 spot in Class C, he was the #1 Class C hero. But he fought the Sea King, and he gave it all he had, of course, but the Sea King, he wasn't even a threat. You know, the Sea King was going to kill Genos, and he inserted himself in the fight, and he hit the Sea King, had absolute no effect on him. And, you know, he tried to muster up all his power, and the Sea King just swatted him, you know, and just knocked him away, you know. And then, of course, after that, Saitama showed up and ended it. That guy you see there just below Tatsumaki, his name, his handle or his superhero name is King. And he is like, I think, the 3rd rank superhero, something like that. He is the strongest human on Earth. He's got, I mean, it's incredible strength. He's a pretty good fighter, but his courage kind of fails him from time to time. Now, he doesn't run from a fight, but what he does sometimes, he gets himself into these, you know, into these scrapes where he's in over his head, and it looks like he's about to lose. And then Saitama inserts himself in there and then just beats whoever he's fighting. And of course, everybody knowing that King is a Class S superhero, they assume that he took down whatever monster it was when it was really Saitama. But Saitama doesn't care. He, you know, now the one thing that's funny about this is that King himself is actually really good at playing video games. And he invites Saitama over to his house to play video games, and he beats him every time on the video game. And it's really funny, you know, Saitama has a temper about it and all that stuff. And King tells him he needs to practice more or something like that. But he is incredibly strong, this guy is.
So King is to Saitama in video games what you would be to me in powerlifting.
Yeah, maybe, or say like I would be to you in martial arts, something like that, maybe, you know. But yeah, you're right. You know, he's superb at video games. You know, he frequently invites friends over, and they other heroes, and they play video games with him. You know, so I think it was a Tekken they were playing one time. I can't remember. And he beat Saitama at that. And Saitama lost his temper and. It's really funny, you know. And you know, King says, "You need to chill out. Let's go get something to eat or something." You know, and of course, Saitama's all about going to get something to eat, you know. So anyway, and there are a lot more of these hero types and people that are in, you know, this One Punch Man universe. I mean, there are just tons and tons of heroes in there. One of them is a guy that dresses up like a dog, and I can't remember what they call him. And his super power is he's extremely fast, you know, almost to the point of teleportation, how fast he is, you know. And he takes down opponents, you know, just by being fast. And he's in this dog suit, and he always is on his, you know, he's on all fours all the time. And people look at him, they don't think there's much to him, and then they, of course, underestimate his ability, you know. So and that's bad for them, you know, in that particular case. And then there's another guy that's on there, and he's gay, and I can't remember his name now, but he's incredibly strong himself, you know, and he's a very good fighter. Now, he's not as strong as King, but he's really strong, you know, and he may be a better fighter than King too. I'm not sure, but he's a Class S superhero too himself. So, and I can't think of any more off the top of my head. There are just so many of those Hero Association, you know, members that I can't remember all of them. Obviously, it seems like every new episode, more and more of them come out of the woodwork, and you know, there's just tons of them. There could be 100 of them. I don't know, you know. They're very much, the Hero Association, very much like the Justice League or the Avengers, except in the case of Justice League, there's a lot more of them. But now the Avengers, in that Endgame, they're all of those, I guess, all of them, they weren't Avengers, but, there was a bunch of them, that fought Thanos' army. These guys are kind of like that. There's just tons of them, just a whole bunch of them. And you see a new one almost every single episode.
King definitely has a Jashugan aesthetic to him.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah, and he's got that scar on the left side of his face there, where he got injured in a fight. And I think there was one episode where he and Genos and Fang's brother were fighting this monster that looked like a big centipede. That monster was like a 1 kilometer in length or something like that. And they were up against it fighting this thing. And then, of course, Saitama shows up and punches the monster one time, and he turns to dust. So that's kind of very funny on that one, So Genos disappearing. I don't think he does like Ash. I don't think he does like a Super Saiyan type charge, like say Goku or Vegeta do. He doesn't do that. Now, what he does do, you're right about that. He does kind of pause, and he kind of revs up his power that he fires those heat cannons with. So yeah, it is very much like Super Saiyan-esque, the way he powers it up, and I agree with you, Ash. I don't think if they were to fight for real, Genos and Alita, and Alita's in either her berserker body or toon body or certainly motor ball or doll body, Genos, he's going to win that one, But if Alita's in any of her 3 Imaginos bodies, Genos is going to be up against it because he can't move as fast as she can, Plus, she's a lot stronger in those Imaginos bodies than she is in the berserker body. But yeah, you're right. He is almost Super Saiyan-esque himself when he powers up, and really what he's doing, he's charging his heat cannon so he can give more power to it, so it is very reminiscent.
It kind of is like almost like the Iron Man suit in a way, as far as how he discharges, from what I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is kind of like that. How Iron Man fires energy, from his from his hands, the palms of his hands. Very similar there, except with Genos, when he goes to shoot those cannons, he has some kind of adaptive technology that, because he is a cyborg, he's kind of like, in that regard, it's like a transformer. These 2 cannons appear on his hands, and he just fires it. And it's and you saw in the anime and in that little action flick there that he, the width of the beam, the 2 beams, it was probably like 10 meters, or maybe 5 meters, 15, 20 feet, in diameter, and it would be pretty potent, as compared to Iron Man, who just would fire, just kind of beams from his hands at maybe 3 inches in diameter or something like that, but still pretty powerful, obviously. So yeah, it looks like the 3 Stooges. Look, Mo. Yeah, I guess he does, sort of. He doesn't have that haircut that Mo Howard had, but he's definitely, maybe he does a little bit, One of the guys in this universe I do like a lot. Certainly, I like Genos and Saitama. I like them a lot. I certainly like Fang, but that Moomin Rider guy, what I like about him is that he's really not remarkable in terms of his ability. I mean, he's probably better than the average human at fighting. He's got better than average strength, but he's a long way from being a superhero. And what he does, the reason why I call him Moomin Rider is because he rides a bike everywhere. So he goes looking for trouble, to try to help, and he rides this bicycle from point A to point B, just looking to see what he can get into, or what he can do to help. So they call him Moomin Rider, and I don't know what Moomin means, who knows, but he does. He rides that bike and, kind of, just does his thing. One of the things about him too is that he and Saitama and Genos are friends, and Saitama and Genos, they don't make fun of him at all. They think he's honorable. Certainly Saitama thinks he's honorable, even though he's way underpowered compared to those two. So I guess that's pretty much it for these guys. I can't think of anything else. I do know at one time that Saitama was in Fang's dojo. He's a sensei. He owns a karate studio, and he teaches Saitama how to do karate, but he doesn't, certainly he can't beat Saitama. If Saitama's put his mind to it, he would beat him, but.
Don't you think that all the people in the leaders' lives is a lot more villains or opponents at the very least?
What was that? I didn't catch all that, Angelus.
There's a lot more villains and opponents than there would be allies for a leader.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot more of these guys in the Hero Association, and there's a lot of villains in the Monster Association, or a lot of monsters. One of the guys is human that he joins the Monster Association. His name's Geru, and he's extremely good fighter. He's probably equal to Genos. Of course, he fights Saitama and gets his butt kicked. So he's I think they called him the hero hunter or something like that, where he tries to hunt down heroes and kill them. And he gets in a fight with Saitama, and it doesn't last very long. Because he is a human himself. He's extremely good. And he does fight Fang at one point, but it's pretty much a draw between those two. But Saitama had no problem with it. Okay. Any questions about any? So I think, do we have a little bit of an understanding about, I guess, Genos's universe? So just kind of looking at them, comparing them, and of course we can go in a discussion far beyond this, certainly what's on the screen there, but excuse me. Alita, is a TR, as we said before, and so is Genos. So in that regard, they're like kindred spirits. This is one of the reasons I think they would become friends, because they're so similar in a lot of ways. Certainly Alita, she was in the military, and her rank, I think we finally determined, or the Creek gave in and said, yeah, she's a high warrior, because she was second in command to Gelda. So Gelda was probably either a master or licensed master. So, Alita, to be second in command, would have to be higher than just a warrior, whereas a warrior would just be like a grunt. Or maybe a war artisan would be a grunt, but she'd be higher than that. So, so she's kind of up there herself. Genos, he's a Class S superhero, and he's ranked 14th. And I don't know exactly how many Class S superheroes there are. My sense is there's probably 20, maybe 24 of those Class S superheroes. And so Genos is kind of down below half. So it kind of gives you an idea about how powerful the superheroes are above him, because he's a lot like Alita in terms of his ability to use, to use plasma or whatever that heat cannon he has. Definitely Alita was in the military, and of course Genos is in the Hero Association. Two pretty different associations, or organizations. Certainly the military is going to have a different, how would you say, a set of objectives than the Hero Association. The Hero Association is founded by a government agency for the distinct purpose of fighting monsters. And of course, in Alita's universe, there are no real monsters per se, unless you want to consider Grishka a monster. And now later on in Last Order, certainly Toji is pretty big himself. He would be almost as big as that Sea King character I was describing to you guys. I think Toji would be more powerful than the Sea King, but nevertheless. Alita's technology certainly is based on nanotech, and of course Genos. He has advanced technology, but it's not nanotech. It's that Dr. Casino really outfits him with some pretty state-of-the-art stuff like weaponry and control systems and something like that. But he doesn't have quite the technology at his disposal that Alita does. Ash, I guess Genos, he does have those that heat cannon, they call it. It's similar to Alita's plasma, except Alita doesn't really shoot that plasma like he shoots that heat cannon. Now, what Genos has to do to shoot that heat cannon, he's got to power it up, kind of like that Super Saiyan thing I was telling you about a while ago, where he shoots those beams, or that what I think is probably plasma, who knows. But it's certainly a pretty powerful weapon, but he has to charge it up, and that sort of thing. Alita certainly can call on her plasma anytime she wants. Now, she can control lightning with it, particularly in her Imaginos body. So, that would be a kind of a little interesting thing there to compare those two weapons for that. Alita's sensei, of course, is Gelda. We all know that. And Genos' sensei is Saitama. That he's the One Punch Man. Even though Genos is a Class S superhero and Saitama is a Class B superhero, Genos recognizes that Saitama is the most powerful being ever. So he doesn't let the class structure get in his way in terms of trying to learn, how to be a better superhero or something like that. Of course, Alita has Doc Ito, and Genos has Dr. Casino. So, they very similar functions. Slight difference. Dr. Casino is more of a experimental type scientist. Whereas Doc Ito is more like a mechanic. He's a doctor, for sure, a cyber surgeon, but it's almost like he's a mechanic. Whereas Dr. Casino is, kind of one of those guys that are like a genius and that sort of thing. In terms of the media that they're in, certainly Alita's got the anime, the manga, and the movie. And Genos has the anime, the comic book, and he's on TV. He's got a series, which I hope we get for Alita, too, in addition to a sequel or a trilogy or 4 or 5 or 6 movies, 10 movies. I hope we get all that. In terms of age, they're very similar. In her berserker body, well, in her doll body, we know that Alita's like 13 or 14 years old. I mean, she's a kid, In her berserker body, it's a little different. Now, Maxie thinks that she's like 19 years old. Could be 19. I think I saw in that one video about the movie, not the movie, the War of the Fall. She was 17 years old when she started doing the military training, I guess. At least being transferred over to a Class 1 berserker body, she was 17. I tend to think, though, when she was on that tube with Hugo, I think she was a lot older than that. I think she was in her early 20s. That's just what it looked like to me. I mean, she didn't act like a teenager either, so who knows? Some teenagers are more mature than others. Who knows, But Maxie thinks she's like 19. Could be, in her berserker body. In her Imaginos body, though, she's more like in her mid-30s, or early to mid-30s. There was one scene there, or one panel in the manga in Last Order where she recalled where she had been like 14 years since Ito had found her in the scrapyard. And at that point, if she was 19, of course, that put her at 34 years old, so she may be a couple of years younger than that. So, but by the time she gets to that point, she's a woman, a full-fledged mature woman at that point when she's in the Imaginos bodies. Now, she still looks like a kid, doesn't she, in a lot of ways, but she's definitely a woman and a full-fledged adult. Genos is 19 years old. So he's very similar to Alita in her berserker body in terms of maturity and so forth. Now, I will say this, is that I think I've seen some studies where, women maybe they mature faster than men, something like this. And that could be, I'm not a psychologist, don't know this, but yeah, but they're probably pretty similar in that regard, and then she certainly would be in her imaginal spies would be much more mature than Genos. So there are those two folks there in a nutshell. So what do you guys, any comments from you guys on this?
It might be anime that I might actively seek out.
Yeah, the anime is. Oh, you mean the one for One Punch Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. You go into it not thinking of it as a superhero type thing. It's more of a parody on superheroes. I mean, Saitama shows up, he punches somebody one time, and that's the end of the fight. That's basically the way it works. But the way they do it, it's so funny, and it's kind of a parody. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of it's almost making fun of the superhero tropes.
Yes, it very much is. It's also a statement about, I think, Japanese society too. I mean, for instance, in that hero association, they have those classes, and you have all these Class S superheroes and Class A. And here's Saitama, the most powerful being, around, and he's maybe ranked #1 in Class B. And he really doesn't have any desire. He doesn't care about class, He just does his thing. He doesn't care. At one point, he wasn't even in the Hero Association, and he was, he was just a hero for fun, as he said. So, yeah, but you're absolutely right, Kunstler. It is very much a parody on superheroes, for sure. And you go into it knowing that, you have a few laughs, because it is funny, It's really funny the way he fights the Sea King, and and even when he fights Lord Boros, that's a pretty intense fight while they're fighting. But there are a couple of really funny little scenes in that, where he's fighting, or he'll be fighting some other monster, and he says, "Oh, I'm hungry. I want to go get some noodles, or I want to get some rice, or something like this." He's really funny like that, So. Do you watch much One Punch Man, Kunstler, or do you just know of it?
I actually remember. I think I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then I just didn't have time to watch this. So I kind of fell out of it. But I actually do remember the character that we were comparing. Just not much. Yeah.
Well, he's very much like Alita, that's for sure. Not ex-military superhero, certainly. And one thing about Genos too is he's kind of like the pure superhero. He wants to do good. He's kind of like you would think of that. And he normally wins his fights, but he gets his butt handed to him sometimes by really powerful monsters, and he's got to be bailed out by Saitama. So that part of it's kind of funny. And of course Saitama's a Class B, and those two are roommates too. In addition to Saitama being Genos' sensei, he's also his roommate, and they have fun together like that. With being roommates. What happened to the stream here? Did we get yeeted? Well, I don't know why we did. It says 2 waiting. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's.
Hang on,
no. I'm sorry. No, we didn't get yeeted. No, no.
Yeah, I don't think we got yeeted.
Yeah, that's. I just need to refresh the screen. I'm sorry. Yeah. So anyway, but that's Alita and Genos in a nutshell. I recommend watching One Punch Man. I watch it. I haven't watched it for a while. I kind of got caught up with Alita, but from time to time I've gone back and watched a couple of episodes. And Maxie's got me watching a certain scientific railgun too now, so I can't watch that. I can't watch Saitama as much, because Maxie and I are kind of doing. Well, Maxie's already seen Railgun, but it's kind of like Angelus, you and I, when we were reading the manga in Last Order, we were kind of keeping pace with each other. One might be a volume ahead of another, and then the other one catches up, goes past, stuff like that. Where Maxie's already read, he's already seen rather all of Certain Scientific Railgun. I have not seen that, and I think he's read the manga too. So, okay, you guys, any thoughts about these two?
Definitely be. Hang on, one. No, not really. Definitely be a good crossover to see if it ever happened. But.
Well, the thing about it is, though, is that certainly Alita in the movie, she's about 540 years ahead of Genos. So. If they were in the same universe, Genos is long dead. He's not. He's no longer around. Now Saitama being invulnerable and immortal, he's around. If they were in the same universe, so you could have a little bit of a crossover there, maybe. But I don't think it would lend itself very well to Alita's universe because Saitama is too much of a parody, too much of a it's too much. It's kind of like a sarcastic view of superheroes and villains and stuff like that. Whereas Alita is a little bit more. It's even though it's in the future, and of course we don't. Well, we have cyborgs now, but it's not like that, like she has. But it's a little more realistic, I think. And certainly it's not superheroes. So I'm not sure how they would accomplish a crossover like that. Probably Saitama could, and for that matter, Genos, they could cross over into the Dragon Ball Z universe. They could do that because they're both the same current time, And I think even though One Punch Man universe is kind of like, say, a parody on superheroes, I think it would fit right in because to a degree, Dragon Ball Z is a little bit, not a parody, but it's got some funny spots in it, So it might fit better in the Dragon Ball universe, I think, as opposed to the the Alita Battle Angel universe. So
that's also true.
Yeah.
Alita definitely a unique IP. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So did you guys learn anything about Genos, for that matter?
I mean, like he's definitely. If I discovered him for Alita, I would have found him very appealing.
Yeah.
But now that I do know about Alita, it's like everything just gets compared to her, and nothing just can compare. Because with that, I won't say attached, but invested into her story. So, I mean, I have to say that Genos or the One Punch Man universe is crap. It's just to say that we all just like Alita more than pretty much anything else.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way exactly. But I do enjoy watching it from time to time, though. That's for sure. One thing I wouldn't say I'm afraid of, but one thing I'm cautious about is watching the movie Alita Battle Angel. I kind of put a long periods of time between watching the movie, and it's funny, I'll take like 2 or 3 weeks before I watch it. But when I do watch it, I get all excited about, oh boy, I'm going to get to watch Alita tomorrow. I kind of get like that, sometimes, whereas some folks that maybe watch it 100 and something times, like a lot of Alita Army folks have done, I'm afraid I don't want to burn out on it, so, which I don't think I will, but I'm making sure I won't. So I guess that's the point. Do not stand by. Have you learned anything about One Punch Man universe and Genos?
Yeah, thanks a lot for all this presentation. I learned a lot about it. I like that Genos has a lot of similarities to Alita, but he's not the central character of the story, and his story is very different from Alita's story in that it's a parody. He's kind of like Batman to Saitama's Superman, but In his universe, it's much more tongue in cheek, and it's not intended to be serious. Although it looks like there's some really great action sequences in One Punch Man. But with Alita, her world was shaped by her in her previous life. She had a big hand in making the world that she wakes up in her new life. And her coming to terms with that is a much stronger storyline with a lot more emotional possibilities than it seems that Genos' story is. And it seems like Genos is not the main focus of One Punch Man anyway.
Yeah, he's not. Ash Blackwind makes a good observation. It's kind of funny. He says, Creek, for a guy that rarely reads comic books and all that, sure is making a lot of recommendations about manga and all this good stuff. And I won't run out of mangas to read or comic books or whatever. So yeah, you're right, Ash. I guess that's true. One Punch Man is something that I've watched, a little bit, not more than Alita for sure. I mean, I've gone through the first season and about probably 3 or 4 episodes of the second season. So, I kind of know it pretty well, but not like I do Alita, obviously. But now, like say, I was able to, I know who these characters are right here. I mean, I know them fairly well because I've seen them all. I've seen them in every episode. I say every episode. Some of these characters aren't in every episode. They'll be in every other episode or something like this. One funny scene in One Punch Man is that character Fubuki you see down there at the bottom. She shows up at Alita's apartment with 2 of her, superhero or not superhero. She's not a superhero either. She's a Class A hero, but she has a couple of Class Bs with her, and they go to Saitama's apartment, Saitama and Genos's apartment. Genos wasn't there, but they go there to try to test out Saitama, I guess, and it didn't go well for them, and certainly Saitama doesn't hurt them, he doesn't. He kind of knocks around the 2, I guess, but he doesn't hurt Fubuki, but she realizes pretty quick, even though she has telekinesis, she can't compete with him, So, and actually they start becoming friends, I think, at that point, and I think her and Genos are friends too. So anyway, that's how that one played out, but yeah, you're right. Do not stand by, Genos is not the lead character. That's for sure. And he's probably in about a third, of the episodes. He's in every episode, but about 1/3 of the, the screen time, he's in that, there are a couple of episodes though, where he's in there a lot. Like when they were fighting that centipede monster, he was in that a lot. And when he fought the Sea King, he was in that a lot too. Now he got his butt handed to him, but certainly Saitama, right, saves him, but yeah, but he's not the main character, whereas Alita is. And I agree with you, in terms of, Alita, like you say, she did shape, her environment, her universe, because, for those of us that have not, well, I've certainly read the manga too, but for those that have not read the manga may not realize that one of the reasons why there's only one floating city is because the military took down 11 of the 12. And Alita, in the manga, she's one of the chief, folks that are responsible for Operation Malwarf, which killed how many million people? I forget what it was. If Maxie was here, he could give us the exact number. So very much the environment that she's in after she gets discovered by Ito in the scrapyard is of her own making. She is the reason, one of the main reasons it is what it is, Whereas Genos is just kind of, it's a modern society, and he's living in it, and he's secondary to Saitama. So anyway, yeah, but you're right about that one. So Any thoughts, Kunstler?
Yeah. So a few things are my thoughts here. So one, just the difference between the cultures. Yes. It's, again, I know one's satirically kind of making fun of the kind of whole hero trope thing.
Yeah.
But obviously Alita is not like a hero in that sense.
Yeah, she is not.
So, whether you view her as a anti-hero or however you view her, it's definitely not a superhero. So
Yeah. Well, I think she has her moments. That's what I think. I don't think she is one thing or another all the time. I think she kind of evolves and, goes from thing to thing or something like that.
Right. She's fluid.
Yeah, exactly.
We're seeing her go through many phases in her maturity and kind of memory recall.
Yeah.
As it were. So,
I think there's that one thing in the manga where she saves saves Jeru or was it Zalem? I can't remember. It's been so long since I've read it. But she is very much superhero-like in that, when she did that. Now, there are other times when she's not, like when she shot that deck man. Now, that was an ancillary story, but when she shot him, she's very much a villain, I think, in that one, in that story anyway. So, yeah, you're right. She is fluid. She lots of shades of gray with her, she can be, she has a temper for sure, and she flies off the handle. Like I said, she has her moments, where, if you were her friend, you better walk on eggshells around her because, you might regret not doing that, Whereas Genos is just a pure good guy, Now he gets mad. There's no doubt about it. When he's fighting monsters and stuff like that, he gets really mad, But he's fighting the bad guys, And so with him, it's kind of a 0 and 1 binary type thing, It's kind of that kind of universe there, Whereas Alita is totally different in that regard, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mostly, though, I agree with you. I think Alita's mostly an anti-hero. Mostly, And then sometimes she's just a person, like when she was in the civilian body, she was just a person. She wasn't any of that. Wasn't.
Yeah. Again, my opinion, I think she's a person that we get to see the repercussions of her actions, whether they're good or bad.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I agree. 100%.
Yep.
Okay, I think we beat this one up pretty good, I think. Any other thoughts about this? Do Not Stand By or Angelus?
No, just the fact that, I'd love to see just more crossover ideas.
Yeah.
Like, I never realized that One Punch Man had a character like Alita until you brought it up. So it'll be good to explore these other.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, he's very much like Alita, and in other ways, he's not. Like say, he's always a good guy. He's.
Well, you just love to see bits of Alita in other properties.
Yeah, exactly. So, it is what it is, I guess. But
well, I would ask, if there was a crossover, would it be similar to Alita's relationship with Jashiga, in that they might not be mortal enemies, but they're just competitors in like Motorball?
I don't think so. I think it might start out like that, but I think it would end up like this. That's how I think it would end up. Not necessarily romantic. I'm not like it on the picture on the left there, But I think they would become friends because, I think with Genos, I think he's always a good guy. He's that kind of thing, and he would recognize the potential for good in Alita. And I think that would drive his feelings for her. and she would see how good he is, and that would probably impress her. Kind of like when she met Figure 4. I think the fact that now it would be a little different, of course, in the regard in terms of their abilities, but when she fought Figure 4, and she was in her, I think was she in her Imaginos 1 body, I guess, wasn't she? Or no, she was in her tuned body. That's right. She literally beat the crap out of him. Literally stomped him in the mud. I mean, it was just brutal, and he still kept coming. And that kind of made an impression on her. Well, I think with this guy, Genos, I think just how good he is, but also married up with how powerful he is, I think she would respect him a lot, and that would be the beginning of her feelings for him. Now I think it'd be more like a relationship on the right-hand side of her, where they'd be friends. I don't think they would become lovers. I don't think that, but they might. Who knows? They're both cyborgs, and they're kind of unique, in a lot of ways. But, I think most likely it'd be on the right is what it would turn out to be. Or maybe they would be like on the left, and then, like a lot of couples, they maybe become friends later. Who knows? But I don't think they would be adversaries or anything like that, unless they misunderstood each other. And they and they said, oh man, this is too much. This is too much of a threat here. This is dangerous, and stuff like that. And they misunderstood each other. They might fight each other. And also in this situation, they might fight each other, but it'd be more like kind of like what Angelus said a while ago. They'd be more like a sparring type thing, because they both like to fight and they both like each other. So I think they would probably not, try to kill each other for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be like when Genos fought Saitama, because he knew he couldn't hurt Saitama. Even if he had hit Saitama with those heat cannons, I mean, Saitama wouldn't have had any effect on him. It had burned his clothes off. He had been naked maybe, but that had been the extent of it. So that's why, he wanted Saitama not to hold back, because he knew he couldn't hurt him, but I don't think that would happen with Alita. I think they would spar, but they certainly could hurt each other, so they probably would, kind of like when you're sparring, when you're in karate, you spar, you may even do full contact, but you don't do it to the point where you think you can knock somebody out, or you might accidentally do that, but usually it's just in that mode of sparring. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all I got about these two. Two very different universes. Two very interesting characters. Obviously, we love the heck out of Alita. There's no doubt about that. But Genos is a pretty good character himself. One thing about him, I mentioned a while ago, he's kind of like Goku in that he's always trying to get better. And it's not that he's striving to fight people better than him, but he's always asking that Dr. Casino to improve him and keep improving him. He's striving to be more like, or be as powerful as Saitama. Of course, he's never going to get there because he's not invulnerable. So he's not going to be able to get there. But he keeps striving, and that's a positive thing for him in terms of his personality and his character makeup. Okay. Did we miss anything, or is there another topic, Alita topic, you guys want to talk about?
Oh yeah, there's one thing that Genos doesn't have, and that's the power of Uru.
What was that, Angelus?
I said there's one thing that Alita has that no one else does, and that's the power of Uru.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's got that on him all day, which is one reason I think he might fall in love with her. He might do that, And I think she would, kind of like with Figure 4, although for a different reason. I think she would, really like him. See, she really liked Chaos, but Chaos is kind of not. He's at least in his form as Chaos, he's sort of a wimp. Now he does have a power of that psychometry, or psychometry, and that's kind of a cool power, but he's not a man's man, if you want to think of it as that, or he's not that, and I think that's the kind of individual that Alita would need, if she was looking for somebody like that. I don't think she particularly looks for that, but I think it happens upon her from time to time, and I think definitely I think she would eventually see the plus side of Genos, and that might influence her feelings toward him. And of course, like all of us guys in the Alita army, you see Alita, you're in love. So, that's just the way it works, for us anyway. So, I guess Alejandro Camargo said something about wanting to come up with a, we don't want to do this right now because I want to prepare for this one. And, Kunstler, you'd be a good one on this. I mean, I know you're not an expert on nanotechnology, but you're pretty good with technology, especially building stuff. So, I think this is something we're going to do in the near future. We're going to, maybe not next week, but the week after, I'm going to put together a panel where we discuss the design of Alita's berserker body, even trying to get down to the, subsystems and stuff like that, and then review it, try to figure out why, she has this kind of a capability, and, why, why her nanobots do this and what they do and what their functions are and all that kind of stuff, and how they, how they protect her and that kind of stuff. That would be kind of a neat discussion, I think.
That would be a neat discussion.
Yeah, it would.
Speaking of technology,
yes,
I got my CNC spoil board all done.
Cool. Can you share your screen and show us?
Oh, I'm on my cell phone, so I can, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Let me get this out of there. Okay, I accidentally hit the wrong button. I do that a lot. So anyway, let me get you on the full screen there. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so anyways, got my machine set up here, got my router, got my dust collection system.
Nice.
And then I'm going to nickname this one Deckman 100.
Yeah, that's nice.
So
got the
slats here to hold the stuff down. I got a piece here I'm going to be cutting. But this is a big machine, man. So, I don't know if you can see the pattern here, but basically surface this so it's perfectly flat.
Yep.
So, how many
times you put the level on that thing?
Honestly, not much. I literally just, when I took the legs, I literally just put all 4 legs together and I binded them with some clamps and I cut them all at the same length at the same time.
Okay.
So I was within 1/16 of an inch on height from, and it was only one corner. So, but that's why you surface the spoil board. So I had only a difference of 1 millimeter from one end to the other.
Nice.
So, but when you surface the spoil board, basically you take all of that out. So it's perfectly perpendicular to the bit when you cut. So that way, when you're doing any type of V carving, you're not going to have any difference in height in your material.
Yeah. Kunstler, what you should do, this is the Creek speaking, thinking out loud, but when you really get going on this, when you start getting that little second business going or something like that, you ought to start a YouTube channel and kind of like that guy Shadiversary does, and just, show how you build stuff and stuff like that, because I think that'd be pretty cool if you did that. I
just got to get a couple of GoPros, but
I don't know. Yeah, having a GoPro would be a good thing, but your phone, you can take pretty good video with your phone.
Yeah, it's the memory though. That's
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm going to be doing a test cut here. Honestly, what I want to do is I want to do an Alita carving on something like this. This is going to be about the size of an actual piece of notebook paper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 11 and 7/8 inch long and 8 and 3/8 wide. And I want to do there was one where it was the when she sees herself in the hallway where it's a bloodbath scene, and then you just see her take her helmet off and you see the blood still there. So that's the one that I want to carve on something like this. So I gotta figure out if I want to do wood color and black or do white and then carve it out and have the wood color.
Well, if you want to do a YouTube channel and do some streaming on this, I'm sure Angelus and I could be convinced to help you out with doing some of those streams. You know.
Yeah. Hey, it might be worth looking into a little bit later, but
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get off the ground first, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, got to get the airplane off the runway, as they would say.
Yeah, but I got in touch with the sawmill that's local, so I'm going to try to work out some like decent pricing for good materials that are not easy to get at like a Home Depot. So
yeah,
but yeah, so that is
the coolest thing, man. You're going to be able to put stuff together a lot faster with that than you did with my sign, which I'm still loving, by the way. I turn that sucker on almost every day just to look at it,
That's good. Yeah, no, my next project is I'm getting a little bit further with my dad's company. So I need to do like an actual sketch of how I'm going to build it because they want to see that with measurements and everything. Yeah. So and they want me to quote them so that way I can get a yay or nay to move forward with it and that stuff. So.
Well, when you first start, you might think about doing something like, like maybe negotiating with them or something like that. I mean, you don't want to price yourself out of a market, obviously, but if they think something's too expensive or something, I mean, you don't want to cave in totally, but sometimes if you want to get two or three clients to get a track record going, then that might be a good thing to do, I think.
Yeah, well, considering that their letters are going to be a lot more simple and that aren't going to have as many hole patterns as yours did.
Oh, yeah.
Time-wise, it's going to be short, but the way I figured it's a business, it's still going to end up being like a $4,000 job. Just it's a business, they can afford it.
Yeah.
And
I guess that's corporate gig. That's pretty cool.
Oh, and that's the thing too. If I can get them on board, then that's really good for a portfolio.
Yeah.
Especially for a company that has places in China, Mexico,
Ooh.
US.
Yeah, careful you don't bite off more than you can chew.
Well, no, I mean it's still actually a family run and kind of family owned company. So it's still somewhat small, but they have a lot of contracts with a lot of companies for plastic molding.
Wow.
And my relationship with my dad and them, since he's been there for like 15 plus years, that's the link. That's the shoe-in. That's the only reason why they're even considering it is because my dad went to them and be like, hey, look at this thing my son did. We should have something like that on this wall. That'd be cool. What do you think? And then they were like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Now it's gotten to this point, so.
Nice.
All word of mouth, man. Word of mouth.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, like I say, if you want to do a YouTube channel, I'll help you out a little bit, so. I don't know doodly damn about building stuff like that, but.
Oh, it's fun. It's just like Legos, man. I mean,
Legos.
just big expensive Legos that are made out of metal and wood.
Well, I'll tell you, that sign you did for me, my brother saw it, it knocked his head off. He thought it was great,
No, that's great. Honestly, the fact that your brother was impressed, even though I don't know him, but it just added to my excitement.
Yeah. Oh, he thought it was great, so. Okay, well, I guess do not stand by. You got any more Alita 3D showings coming up on the schedule?
Well, I probably will do one in November, but this month I think it's going to be mostly foundation showings in preparation for Dune on October 22nd. So yeah. Unfortunately, I'll have to wait till next month, but I hope with the Cowboy Bebop Netflix series coming out, a lot of people will be interested in live action adaptations of anime and manga, and hopefully that will be a good time to get people interested in watching Alita for next month.
Yeah, hopefully it don't snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the thing about that one. But anyway,
Right. Yeah, sorry, I got to leave early because I got to go to dinner with my family. But thanks a lot for hosting. And,
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm about to wrap the stream up anyway. We've been going nearly 2 hours. I was going to ask Angelus, how the job's going, and are you going to make it next week, Angelus?
Yeah.
Are you going to be the host tomorrow?
I don't think so. Yes, I will be the host tomorrow, but I don't think I can make next weekend.
Okay, yeah, because I know Tony's managing the stream, and I'm just going to let people in it, and I'm not going to do anything after that. Now, what I will be doing is I've got a PowerPoint presentation about the technology of Alita, the cyborg technology, almost kind of not quite like what Alejandro wanted, but because we're not going into design or anything like that, which is going to be a great one, but this is kind of more the components of Alita and stuff like that, So, Maxie and Maxie would be glad to know that it's not going to be 99 slides. So it's not going to be a 4-hour stream. So, so like it was before, when I did it. So, okay. So anyway, this is our number one member right here. Alita Army member number quadruple 0 or 50 or whatever one. She's it. She is the queen, Jack. And number one in Creek's book in terms of being an actress playing Alita, that's for sure. And she's pretty, so that doesn't hurt either. Anyway, tomorrow on the Radio Chaos stream, we're going to be going over the technology, the cyborg technology of Alita herself. And this is going to be, from the movie. I may put a couple of things in there from the manga, but this is pretty much going to be the movie. And just kind of going over the different, like I said a while ago, different components of Alita and what her systems are and stuff like that, but no design stuff. So we'll do that later, Camargo, or Alejandro rather. So that should be a lot of fun. It's going to be on about roughly 22 hours after this stream starts. We start this stream about 11 o'clock or 11 p.m. I think it is GMT. So, it'll be 2 hours earlier than that, but it's going to be tomorrow, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, encourage everybody to sign into this one. And of course, we know why is this image here? Well, that's because the Creek likes it. That's why. And I put this in just about every video I upload to YouTube at the very end, And I'm only here for our girl, to paraphrase Gawiska, and the Alita Army. So, any last thoughts, guys?
No.
Okay, so anyway, I guess what we'll do, the call to action here on my count of 3, which is going to be film those sequels, baby. Or I don't know about filming. They probably just shoot video, make those sequels. We'll say film those sequels. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Film
those sequels,
baby.
baby.
All right, we'll see you next week.